Well, for more on how live streaming has changed marketing in China and consumption habits, and where the trend is heading, we're joined now from New York by Franklin Chu. He's the U.S. Managing Director of Azoya. Franklin, these are quite remarkable numbers, but how does live streaming retail differ from traditional cable TV shopping networks?
Well, first of all, there's the role of the KOLs, key opinion leaders, which is a phenomenon that was first developed in China. It's now become such an important part of digital marketing there. These KOLs have millions, sometimes tens of millions, even more followers. And so while live streaming was already well established in the last 2 years, the rise of the KOLs have really supercharged this trend and made online shopping a veritable show.
We heard there in that report about some of the local and national efforts in China to promote live streaming. How significant is that? What sort of boost has that been?
Well, it's hard to quantify exactly how much it has monetized e-commerce activities, but we know from everything that we can see that it's been a significant boost because just to give you some sense of context, in the last major shopping festival on 6/18, there was nearly $1 trillion of sales. I'm sorry, 1 trillion RMB of sales, and a big part of that shopping festival was the array of live streamers.
Live streaming retail is developing so rapidly in China. Have lawmakers and regulators been keeping up?
Not so much. I mean, you've shown in your segment that the Chinese government has taken an interest in this phenomenon and are supporting it in various ways. Here in the U.S., where it's much more in its infancy, it really has not even sort of touched the radar.
Data from Taobao showed that new sellers soared 7 times during the pandemic. Do you think the market is already overcrowded in China?
It is crowded and competitive, but from everything we see, the growth of e-commerce still has a long way to go, and so that means that that live streamers and KOLs still have plenty of work to do for them ahead.
The traditional retail has mostly, now that traditional retail is mostly reopened in China, has that hurt live streaming retail?
No, I mean, I think that the two are complementary, but even though e-commerce is such a big part of retail in China, it's still far from being saturated. So I mean, we can see e-commerce GMV growing at 10–20% for the foreseeable future.
What are some of the products that are typically more suitable for sale through live streaming and which have a little more difficulty?
Sure. I'd say that the two categories that work really well for live streaming are fashion and beauty and cosmetics. And if you think about it, it's not hard to understand why. With KOLs on live streaming, it's a very visual experience. And so with fashion apparel, as well as with cosmetics, you can really convey the sense of the product and how it looks on the when the host is using it and explaining it. So those two work particularly well for the live streaming tool. The kind of products that are less susceptible to this kind of digital marketing would be things, for example, such as health products, because it's just talking about the benefits of a health supplement. You can't see it, so you can only hear the words, and it's hard to convey the benefit of a product like that.